Media space and a lot of the same problems. I'm Michael J, and this is Borderline Politics, where we cut through the cliches and compare real policy, culture, and power on both sides of the 49th parallel. From free speech to healthcare, housing to populism. If it matters politically, we're breaking it down. Subscribe for smart cross-border political insight. 2 countries, 1 conversation. Michael J. with the opinion. The question today's episode, Pierre Poilievre, asset or liability? Pierre Poilievre, asset or liability? Poilievre just scored a big win. His by-election seat is locked in now. But does that make him Canada's political fix, or its next political headache, like Trump? Let's cut through the spin. Let's go to the main screen.
Local correspondent Vashi Kapelis is standing by in Ottawa with more this morning. Vashi, good morning. Good to see you. So this was a victory for Poilievre that was pretty much guaranteed. Nonetheless, it is a big hurdle that he has now overcome.
Yeah, it's an enormous hurdle, Marcia. It's great to see you as well. And I think even if we take our cues from what Mr. Poilievre was saying, and even the kind of how, like the demeanor, the enthusiasm, you could almost see the weight of not having a seat in the House of Commons shed from him. And maybe, I don't know what the right word is to describe it, like more confidence, more, certainty, I guess, in what his future looks like, at least in the near term, versus what it has been since the general election. There are still a number of tests ahead for his...
Yeah, but here's the deal. Pierre Poilievre isn't just the leader of the Conservative Party. He's a sharp debater, a populist messenger, and right now, the guy turning every economic frustration into a 3-word slogan. His pitch, axe the tax. Bring home the paychecks. Bring it home. Fire the gatekeepers. Simple, catchy, and it works. But winning a seat doesn't answer the bigger question. Is he helping Canada or just helping himself? Take it away, Vassie.
Leadership, but this was a big hurdle. It's cleared. The Conservatives I'm speaking to just want to put it in the rearview mirror, focus instead on the opposition that they will form, that they will constitute when the House of Commons returns, and then ultimately that party convention in January in Calgary and the leadership review that through the rules of the party he will face then.
He will face then. So does the victory last night in Alberta help secure him as leader? I mean, January seems like an awful long way away, but just curious, does it help him in the eyes of the Conservatives who perhaps were thinking twice about Poilievre?
Yeah, I think so. It's a great question. I don't know for sure. A lot can happen between now and then, but I do think it's fair to give him his due. Yesterday, the conversation was, what would the margin of victory look like? Would he be able to secure as wide as perfunctory a win as Damien Carrick, who stepped aside for Poilievre, did in the general election? And he did. He won by a very, very, very decisive majority, by a huge swath of people in that riding. And I think it's fair to give him his due for that. And I think that just the message that sends to Conservative supporters is that the base of support for a Poilievre-led Conservative Party, particularly in this case in Alberta, but perhaps in other places where they did secure a lot of support in the last election.
Hold on a sec. An angry moose could have won that riding with a landslide. Just saying, folks. First, the upside. Poilievre is energizing voters who felt ignored. He's laser focused on affordability, housing, and government waste. He's focused on everything that's wrong being wrong, and that's been his shtick from day one. Issues that are crushing the middle class, Even critics admit he's dragged Ottawa back to real-world kitchen problems, for some Canadians, that's considered, what's that considered? Leadership and not ideology. So this is where the confusion comes into play, where they conflate opinion into fact, and that's where it becomes really dangerous. And there's a flip side. Poilievre's tone, sharp, combative, sometimes downright hostile, can alienate swing voters. His attacks on institutions, from the Bank of Canada to the media, raise concerns about how he'd govern. And while slogans win headlines, they don't always translate into policy you can actually pass, and policy that actually helps with what's needed for the times now. This is the important thing you have to understand. So, is he an asset or is he a liability? Let's listen a bit more.
Election is still there, right? It's still solid. It's still coming out. The turnout, even for a by-election, was quite remarkable, right? Historically, by-elections have very low turnout. That was not the case in this by-election. So I do feel like there is, it's like this idea of like wind beneath your wings, right? And politics is often about a narrative and about that kind of thing. So I think the message is one for, a wider swath of Canadians, but also very specifically, as you point out, conservative supporters who had been reflecting on a lesser amount of relevance that the party has had and that Poilievre has had since the general election, without a seat in the House of Commons, with the government kind of dictating the day-to-day news cycle, the political news cycle, very unlike what it was like a year ago when Poilievre was dictating.
So, is he an asset or a liability? Short term, he's an asset to his party. Fundraising, recruiting, dominating the narratives, that's an asset for the Conservatives. But for Canada as a whole, that depends on whether his solutions can outlast his sound bites, because everything's been a sound bite. No solutions, just a sound bite. If he sticks to slogans, he risks becoming just another political showman. If he delivers real policy, he could reshape Ottawa for a generation. And this is the important question you need to ask. The questions you need to ask, monsieur. So we're going to take a pivot here. We're going to go to an influential conservative podcaster by the name of Jasmine Lane. And there's a reason why we're going to this gal. Is it perfunctory? It depends how you apply the word. So anyways, she had a one-on-one with Poilievre during the pre-election for the Prime Minister and the election in Canada, April 28th. And just recently, Pete Hoekstra, the ambassador of the U.S. to Canada, she did a one-on-one with him, which I'm going to break down because it is really criminal as to what really went down in that video. And I just want to shed a different light on things. So that's the important thing. But I want you to see what Pierre Poilievre says here in this segment. So let me know what you think.
Understand where he's coming from there. That obviously wouldn't be a good feeling if any of us were in that same position. But that's why you don't keep your head in the sand. That's why you speak out. And you risk it all. Sometimes that's really important to do, to risk everything that you are so scared of happening just to do the right thing. And the NDP Party of Canada did not do that at all over the last couple of years. And that's why they have the consequences that they do today, because Canadians voted and decided that they actually were pretty done with them and they didn't want to continue to hear them anymore. And that is the result of leading your party so very astray in order to protect the Liberals. And to end this on a little bit of a more positive note, Pierre Poilievre, a man who received historic amounts of votes from various age groups and demographics and in various regions, is somebody that we do really want to hear from. And here's what he had to say today.
And this is the direct result of government. Make no mistake, there is only one cause of inflation, and it is government. Government creating more cash to fund its irresponsible spending that inflates the cost of everything. The banks and the bureaucrats do way better as they inflate the resources that they have and the value of their assets. And of course, the working people who pay the bills and make the stuff that we need, they are the ones who suffer. This system is broken, and the people are breaking under the pressure of it. We need to end inflationism. Inflationism imposed.
Inflationism is a key word here. And this is what I'm going to focus on after this video. Now, as I said previously, he resonates with the kitchen table type talk. Does it really have traction for what people really need to change things? That is another question for another video. But inflationism is important. And this is done about a week and a half ago, this video, just less than 2 weeks ago. And just pay attention to the rest of this video.
By Mark Carney, by central bankers like him, by big government, by overspending. It is crushing the working class. The only way to change it is to slash the cost of government, stop the money printing, bring in sound money that preserves its value, low taxes that...
What is sound money? Like, come on. Wait a minute, it's like pixel dust? Is that what fairies sprinkle upon the pillow or underneath the pillow when you put your tooth there? You know, like sound money. Low taxes that reward hard work. Like, you know, just slash. Slashing is not going to fix the problem. And you've seen that with Doge down the United States. They found out there's just really not as much waste as they thought. And actually, they're cutting essential services that's crippling the operation of the country. And that's really what's going on in the States, and why you should pay closer attention to the populist politics and nationalist politics of a guy like Trump, and how it can mirror what could be here in Canada. What you see down there, watch out for what happens here.
Rewards hard work. And instead of creating more cash, we need to create more what cash buys, grow more food, build more homes, produce more energy, so that people have bigger paychecks, that they keep those paychecks after tax, and that the money from that after-tax income preserves its value and rewards the people who spend it wisely. That is what I'm fighting for, and it has been the purpose of my political life.
And the purpose?
It's been his slogans, platitudes, and hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Slash is not going to work. Requires a whole totally different way of doing things. Jasmine Lane, take it away, my dear.
Of the life of who Canadians ultimately chose. Again, please refer to the beginning of this video. Now, Mark Carney did make an announcement on softwood lumber. However, that is actually happening right now as I'm filming this. So I will be sure to include details of that in tomorrow's episode. I also want to touch a little bit more on Alberta separation, among a number of other...
Alberta separation. If it's not culture wars, it's separation. We're going to divide you no matter which way you look. So, what do you think? What do you think, folks? Is Pierre Poilievre Canada's disruptor or the next disaster? Hit the comment, hit subscribe, stay tuned in, and we take this border situation and every political firestorm to your attention in a different way, shed a different light. This is cross-border, real, 2 countries, just one conversation, sending love and peace to everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. Love and peace to y'all. Ciao for now.